UFC 303 coming up Saturday this weekend in Sin City. Conor McGregor, a late scratch, meaning the main event now features Alex Pereira and Jiri Prochazka in a light heavyweight title rematch. Here's our guy Joe Fortenbaugh with more.
International Fight Week in Las Vegas, UFC 303. So let's go to the desert. Welcome in Brett Okamoto, kind enough to spend some of his time with us. Brett, let's start with the main event. Alex Pereira and Jiri Prochazka fought back in November, with Pereira closing around -125, winning by second round knockout. Now they rematch 7 months later. Pereira is -130, but here's where it gets interesting. Venom, one of the most popular fighters in the entire sport, opens -150, and money's coming in knocking the price down to -125. So what's the likelihood Prochazka evens the score on Saturday?
Yeah, I think the line is pretty close. It's not super surprising to me that money would be coming in on Prochazka, and I think that's just because of the circumstance. You know, Alex Pereira was in Australia at the time that this fight was announced. He was actually going to fight in Australia later this year. He was expecting that fight to be announced while he was over there, and then you got to come all the way back. You got to recover from jet lag. You got to be, manage the weight during all of that. You got to deal with the time differences. He also had 2 broken toes as recently as UFC 300 in April. So I think that bettors are kind of looking at this situation saying it seems to be better for Jiri Prochazka, but stylistically, we saw that Alex Pereira did have some advantages in that first fight. So he should be a favorite, but I think the circumstances, maybe some people taking a look at the challenger there.
Yeah, both fighting at 300. Pereira makes quick work of Jamal Hill, but on the other side, Prochazka found himself in a war, so it'll be interesting to see if any of that carries over. Co-main event, Diego Lopes, one of the most exciting up-and-coming fighters on the roster. He opens as a dog, +130, for the biggest fight of his career against T-City Brian Ortega, but an onslaught of Lopes money has moved this to -140 with him as the favorite. Are we overlooking T-City here?
I don't think so. I think that just the love for Diego Lopes is real. I mean, every time that this guy has taken up a step in competition, you see this, right? When guys are coming up for the first time in their UFC careers, they're getting tougher challenges each and every time, and he is exceeding expectations. Not only is he winning the fights, but he's doing so in dominant fashion. You haven't had to really sweat through a lot of Diego Lopes bets on his way up to the top. In this situation, Brian Ortega has come out and said that he was planning to move to lightweight, so I don't think that bodes completely well, that maybe this is sort of a free roll for him if he's already planning on going to another weight class. So I think that this is just a lot of love on Diego Lopes, and for good reason, man. I mean, we could be talking about Diego Lopes down the road. This happens all the time in the sport. Like, man, you remember when we got these odds on Diego Lopes? Now you can't get odds like that against him.
Yeah.
So Brian Ortega, very, very good fighter. He came through with a big win against Yair Rodriguez, but Diego Lopes looks like the real deal. I think that's why you're seeing the movement there.
That's a great point, because there was a cheap price on Lopes against Yusuf at UFC 300, and he made short work of him. So at some point, the hype is going to match the price, and those prices are going to be long gone. Curtain jerker on the main card opens with an absolute banger between Ian Machado Garry and Michael Venom Page. Garry opens -115, bet up to -140. Both guys riding a ton of hype coming into this fight. Do you see Garry having success trying to solve MVP's difficult stylistic problem matchup?
I do, man. And I think that this is one of the most fun fights to talk about on the card, because you got people on both sides that think that MVP has this huge advantage here, or that Garry's going to be too much. And I guess that's why the odds are so tight, right, Joe? I am part of the Garry camp. I just think he's a smart fighter. I don't think he will be frustrated by the movement of MVP. I don't think he will be rattled by the speed of it. And I think just technically he has what it takes to deal with that style. I think that this is a bad matchup, quite frankly, for MVP. But I'm on that side. Plenty of others on the MVP side, so we'll see. And that's why you see such a close line.
Monster card, T-Mobile Arena, Saturday night in Las Vegas. He's Brett Okamoto. Brett, we appreciate the time. Thanks for swinging by.